The second page there is similar with some guiding principles. What's our purpose? What are we responsible for? We're going to do things that are life-giving. So again, we want to strongly encourage you, whatever you come up with that you do together, it needs to be something that gives life. For heaven's sakes, none of us need any more meetings, just for the sake of meetings. Transparency, discretion. And the last one there, I want to see this bring out what's great in you. So at the end of the year, if you've been meeting as a cell, you ought to be able to look back and say, this did some great things for me. This really helped me in tangible ways be the person I'm called to be and do the thing that I'm called to do. And if it's not doing that, then reevaluate and change or ask for help or disband or whatever. But again, we have no desire to create things that are just another thing to do. And again, I believe in your ability to creatively come up with something like that that would look like things that I never could have conceived. And the beauty of letting you come up with something is you'll come up with things that are better than anything we could have planned centrally. So those are some guidelines for what we're trying to do. And again, the longer document's posted on our blog. I think it's called Cell Guidelines, but most of the rest of what it contains is tips for how you, when you get 4 strong-willed coaches on the same call, how you manage that process. So there's some guidelines for that. There are ideas for what you can do with your cell. And I want to create a ever-lengthening set of, here are some of the kinds of things that you could do. For instance, let's all talk about our dreams for one call. Or let's, engage one person deeply. Or let's take a meeting and prepare a little beforehand and just talk about what we see in each other. Yeah. See what I'm saying? There's a lot of powerful things that you could do together. And as you find things like that, shoot me an email and say, this was really cool. How about if we add this to the list? So we're going to create an ever-changing and increasing sort of manual thing that people can go to and say, oh, we need to do more of this kind of stuff. So that's what the handouts and stuff are. Again, afterward, especially if you're leading a cell, make sure and go to the website and download the whole thing, and it'll give you a lot more information.
Coach 22 website, RCN?
No, it's RCN. We have a blog, which I think all of you have. The address is some convoluted thing, but if you need the address, email me, Tony@coach22.com, and I'll send you the address. It's in all our newsletters as well. So let's talk a little bit about our group. Just in terms of how we formed, I sort of started out just cultivating some relationships and saying, who are the people that I would want to walk with? And these are guys that I've got to know and done some things with over the years, and said, if I'm going to form a group, here are 3 other people that I'd really want to do something with. And the problem being, of course, I know about 40 people that I'd want to do something with, so it was hard to narrow it down. But what I did then was I talked to each of them individually. One of the principles with this, it's probably going to take a leader to make a cell coalesce. The privilege of being the leader is if you're inviting the people, you get more choice. I worked hard to not make it Tony's thing, so we talked a lot about what do we want, what does this mean, and what do you need. But I had relationships with all these people, and they didn't know each other as well. So one of the things we had to work at was, them all relating to each other as opposed to just with me. So I asked them for a 5-session commitment. Let's just meet 5 times, no commitment after that. We're going to explore what this would be like. And then at the end of that time, we'll talk about, do we want to continue? Do we want to change anything? Whatever. So one of the keys to making this work is do a trial period. And there's no commitment after that. And after you meet 5 times, you can say, this isn't what I'm looking for. You can do whatever you want. So you're not locking yourself into some long-term, till death do us part type of relationship. So, talk a little bit, guys, that you were gonna talk about the, I assume the forming and storming process.
Well, the
You
forming,
guys wanna,
yeah, the forming, building on what Larry had shared about having other relationships, Tony talked about last night. But I know you evaluated it first. Did you have the time for it? And
Right.
I just thought it might be valuable to share how you decided it, something to give time to.
Yeah, because we all came into this group with the same agreement, commitment, that type of thing. And then one day I just kind of had this moment in my office and said, oh no, I've done it again. I've overcommitted. I should never have committed to this group because I know these guys, they're going to expect, me to really, show up and that kind of thing. I sent off this email and said, I'm out, I quit, I can't do this, And so they were all really nice and firm about why. What is this that you're doing? Why are you thinking that way?
what do you mean? So what did we do exactly?
Well, individually they got on the email and started emailing me, heaving that up, and then we got.
Emailing what? How did we, be specific about how we responded
I'm
to
not
you?
sure I remember that
Russ,
exactly.
I
but
I can
remember
tell you.
Larry's pit bull thing came out at that point.
I let you off the hook. I was like, you know what? Russ can decide for his own life.
He's a
Goodbye. I'm
grown up,
disappointed, but I really learned from the way the other guys engaged you and was chagrined for letting you go so easily.
Yeah, well, Jeff was more like sad, and Larry was more like, well,
Larry was more like Larry.
We had already processed a few things in our relationship, so I think I said, if this is what you really want to do, okay, but I'm really wondering if this is playing itself out here, and I want to challenge you or ask you to really think this through because, this and that. So it was a freedom, I hope.
it was.
But it was also a challenge to say, consider this, and we're interested. We need, we'd like to have.
And that helped me sort things out, is what
I
it
had
did.
a longer conversation with
You did, you and I had a long conversation.
And I think
on
the
phone.
gist of it was, you're free to do what you want.
Sure.
But if the issue is that your life's out of control, this kind of group is the kind of place that you need to be in to get it under.
Yeah, it's like saying I can't afford to budget, I don't have enough money to do that. So, yeah, and that was really good because, they helped me work through that, and all of a sudden a second light came on and said, duh, yeah, you need to be in the group.
So what that process highlighted for me eventually was the learning opportunity of the group, different ways of engaging a situation and handling a relationship. Part of the value for me and being a regular part.
And we have continued that kind of working it out, type thing with inside the group. It's not been smooth. It's not.
Go ahead into the storming, guys.
Can you see just from this little exchange that we're going to need to negotiate some rules about how we...
Right. And we've continued to do that, which has been great to me, because as having been a therapist all my life, I went into groups and set the rules and said, this is how we'll play. And then I knew, and then I could follow the rules, and I got to crack the whip when people didn't do that, But we went into it not loosey-goosey, because we all know what works, because we all do this in our own lives.
Each in different ways.
Each in different ways, right.
An important point.
But when we got into the group together, we were kind of like very issue-oriented. Like if Larry had an issue, we were like vultures on raw meat or something. And so we would really jump in there and mix it up with each other. And it just I started feeling a little uncomfortable about that. Like, Larry's a tough guy, so I knew I wouldn't hurt his feelings if I jumped in there. But I thought, are we setting a good model for other groups if we just like haul in there, and jump on each other and tear it up? And we were, of course, being kind to one another, but we were doing what we normally do with clients.
Right, and just know, part of the reason I chose these particular people is because I knew that characteristic, that we would all be like vultures on.
Well,
It's really not that bad.
I just thought it was a great analogy. We want to go there, and I chose people that want to go there.
The benevolent vulture.
Right. Yeah, benevolent vulture. So that would have been a good group time, But given our